Aloha and welcome to Author Talk. I'm Laura Yerxa coming to you from the beautiful Big Island of Hawaii, and I'm thrilled to have my guest here today, Vamsi Koduri. Oh, his story is amazing. I can't wait to get into it with him. So, welcome, Vamsi. I'm glad to have you today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lori, for doing this for me. For two reasons. Number one, appreciating the talent, appreciating the writing talent is number one, and looking out for those writers, professionals, tapping the talent and encouraging them to get onto your show and introducing the writers, the independent writers whose world is really small at the time when they begin and exposing us to this great virtual world where the authors will get to know and hopefully the sales will increase and put us up in a higher pedestal. So thank you so much from the bottom of the heart for doing this, Lori. You are such a great talent by yourself, but it is also the other angle in you to look out for people like us and bringing them to your platform.
Well, thank you, Vamsi. Thank you for saying that. You're welcome, and I really appreciate you acknowledging that. That's very, very nice of you to do that. So, but let's talk about your book, The Pursuit of Triumph, and you have a copy that you can hold up.
I
The
do.
people
I
can see what
do
it
have.
looks like.
Certainly. That's the
Yes.
pursuit of the triumph. I have. This is a color version of the book. I do have the black and white version. I have the color version. I have the Kindle version, and I also have the audiobook version where people, I realized that in these during these days, the audiobooks are particularly popular for people
Yes.
who are driving, who are in the gym, who can read, and it's 2.5 hour quick read, if you will. So I thought another version would help the readers.
Yes.
Yeah,
Way to cover all the bases there, and it's available on
thank you.
Amazon. Um,
Correct.
yes. So good job. Did you voice over yourself? Did you do the
I
voiceover?
so wanted to. I so wanted to, but at the time, like I mentioned in the book, I was battling with acoustic neuroma,
Yeah. Yeah.
which resulted in something called a facial palsy. So the pronunciation of my words was a little bit, I would say, not 100%.
Okay.
But since I was releasing the book at that time, I didn't want the audio version to be delayed. So I hired a voice artist, Andrew Baldwin, and I explained him. He himself is a talented guy, but I explained him the emotions that I went through in writing the book, and I wanted the exact emotions to
Yes.
be voiced, and he did a great job. The
Good.
people who have heard, who have listened to it, all appreciations for it.
Good. Yes. Wow. So let's get into talking about your book, which is, well, there's a lot of kind of your life story, autobiographical. It is an autobiography, but a large portion of it has to do with your oldest son, your firstborn son. And so, why don't you tell us a little bit about him and what got you started in wanting to write your book?
Sure. It's interesting that you asked me this question. Okay, let me see. So I'm a visual person,
Mm-hmm.
I never envisioned myself to write. Although I am I was interested, and I am, of course, interested in writing, but that writing was limited to movie reviews. Whenever I see a good movie, especially the Indian language movies, and that there is a reason for that too. Why not Hollywood?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to pen down all my thoughts, not the intricacies of the details of the story in particular, but more of the craft, more of filmmaking, more of the director, technicians, things like that.
Yes.
Like I said, it was only limited to that. So I never envisioned myself in writing a book. But boy, you read the book.
Yes.
So I was in despair. I
Mm-hmm.
was laying down on bed after my curative surgeries of acoustic neuroma earlier this year. So I wanted to vent out. I wanted to channelize my emotions. I wanted to depict my story because I wanted my story to go to the audience, however small those are, and provide a ray of hope
Yes.
for the battles that we went through. Not mine. I will not. I will consider myself my own thing as a battle, but I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to depict my son's story.
Yes.
That is a pure battle. 8 years of struggles
Yes.
that he went. He's still going through, but at least we came to know what it is. The diagnoses after misdiagnoses, therapies after therapies, hospitals after hospitals, and
Yeah.
all of that. I wanted to channelize and put it in the format of a book.
Yes.
So that was the time. That was the trigger point when I was on bed to channelize my emotions and there you go. It came
Yes.
out earlier, sorry, mid this year in the form of The Pursuit of Triumph, a
Yes.
story about strength, triumph, and hope.
Oh, and it definitely is. So, Maury, your
Maria,
son,
yeah.
yes. So you're excited. You've got your firstborn. It's a
Mm.
beautiful day, and then he gets to be about 18 months old, and I mean that's not when you first notice things, but by 18 months old, he still wasn't walking. And so, what was going on with this little body?
So yeah, I mean everything was smooth during the pregnancy. Catching up the milestones was a little bit delayed, but hey, no child walks or talks or crawls or flips at a specific point of time. There
Mm-hmm.
is always this range, and we were okay with it, and there were no red flags. We
Mm-hmm.
consulted pediatricians like any parents do, and like I said, there were no red flags. So we were taking one milestone, one step at a time. And 16 months passed, 18 months passed, and that's perceived to be the global milestone range
Mm-hmm.
for a child to walk. And when that didn't happen, we started that's kind of the trigger point. That's kind of the red flag for us to see more into it, why he's not walking, what are the hindrances and things like that. And from there the journey began.
Yes, yes, it was. So you initially, because he also had a bit of a speech delay as well,
Correct.
correct? Yeah.
Correct.
So you started to notice these things that didn't seem kind of normal, or he wasn't progressing in ways that a child does if there's nothing going wrong, no anomalies or anything. So you notice that he's not really walking and he's got a speech delay, and you try the first things like the special shoes and the reverse walker, which was great the way you explained that to keep the posture high. But
Mm.
those weren't really helping, so you finally took him to see an MRI. And
Correct.
what happened with that?
So sorry. So yeah, when it was 16 or 18 months between that time, we contacted early intervention. It's a state-sponsored, Illinois state-sponsored program, and they came in. They analyzed Moria. They did say there is a little bit of speech delay, but there is the developmental delay in the gross motor skills,
Yeah.
and they recommended AFOs, and we and they also recommended the reverse walker, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So we started with those, but at the same time, we also wanted, and my wife and I researched about the physiatrist who is Mary Keene, Dr. Mary Keene. She's very famous physiatrist here in Illinois area. She works for Mary and Joy in Wheaton, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
But we couldn't get her appointment until 8 months. So this was early February, and we got her early February 2014, and we got her appointment in November of 2014.
Mm-hmm.
But we continued during that time with the reverse walker, with AFOs, and things like that. He was progressing in terms of walking with the walker. And also with the speech, the little words, the one or two sentences,
Mm-hmm.
but not really storytelling. Come November of 2014, Dr. Mary Keane saw, and she said, it's cerebral palsy.
Oh.
That was in November 2014. We were completely devastated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually, just before that, we did the brain MRI and with the neurologist. And the
Uh-huh.
brain MRI was absolutely normal. We questioned being the brain MRI normal and, her diagnosis of cerebral palsy. And she did explain that, brain is a very complex organ,
Mm-hmm.
and even at this day and age, MRI is the only only imaging technique that we can really rely on to see and study the complexities of the brain. But having said that, the brain do not detect the minute abnormalities. And in Maria's case, even though the brain MRI is normal, there are some abnormalities which are obviously undetected, and that is causing, symptomatically, she diagnosed it as
Mm-hmm.
cerebral palsy.
Okay, so uh, that's crazy that the MRI doesn't kind of actually catch everything if it's nuanced and minute, but you get this diagnosis as cerebral palsy. There's no reason not to really believe it. This doctor, you waited 8 months to get in there. You One of the things that I really appreciated about your writing and your book was you just talking about your response to that, or your reaction of being in denial and then being in depression, and just getting that kind of news about your firstborn
Yeah,
child, like you said, is devastating. But there were also we're not going to have time to go through every single one, plus we don't want to give the whole book away,
sure.
but you went through, I mean, you did many things, equine therapy, got him on the horses, and um, took him to India for for
Ayurvedic
therapies. And
treatment.
so talk a little bit about the things that were different, maybe, or different offerings in India that maybe we don't really have as much here.
Certainly. So one of the things that we tried in this long path is the Ayurvedic treatment. It's
Yes.
basically Ayurveda is a treatment of medicine, treatment in medicine, where various herbal techniques will be used
Mm-hmm.
in the hope of getting the patient better in terms of the muscle movement, in terms of the physicality, in terms of the whole body as a holistic view. So that's done, especially in Kerala, which is a southern state. However, it's also spread out in various states
Mm-hmm.
these days, but it's specifically and famously known in the state of Kerala. So my wife, actually, we both took to India back in 2015,
Mm-hmm.
and we tried that in our own place, Hyderabad, which is still south, but not as south as Kerala, for 1 month. That didn't result much, but like we said, we were trying very, very different things,
Mm-hmm.
how we can get our son better. There was a lot of emotional turmoil. It's like we don't want, we want to do everything possible to make him a success, make him a success story. Later, I realized that he's already a success story, which I'll talk
Yes.
about it a little bit later. But since we got a feel for the Ayurveda in 2015, my wife wanted to try that in a more prolonged setting.
Mm-hmm.
So, with a lot of juggling with her work schedule, the family, her dad expired during the time, like 2015.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
2016, she took him for 45 days. They were in Kerala, with her mom's support. We did that. However, that also did not bring us the favorable results.
Yeah.
But
So you
yeah,
tried you tried natural therapies,
correct.
and so you tried like all different avenues to help your son
That is correct.
to find out what was really going on with him, because in the end, it wasn't really cerebral palsy that was causing his issues.
That is absolutely correct, and that is
Yeah.
one of the trigger points when I wanted to write the book. This is not a journey of a cancer or a specific diagnosis where diagnosis and you work or you fight through it. Knowing the diagnosis itself was a fight for us for
Mm-hmm.
8 years,
Mm-hmm.
and we are at this stage now knowing that diagnosis. Of course we don't have a cure, but at least we know what it is.
Yeah.
But knowing that took 8 years of what it is. First, symptomatically it's cerebral palsy, and then they said they found the two syringes in his upper and middle regions of the spine,
Yeah.
and they said, "Oh no, it can't be cerebral palsy. It's syringomyelia." So they surgically removed the one of the syringes on the upper spine back in 2016, the hope that it will fix his walking issue. However,
Mm-hmm.
they were able to fix the spine. The spine is now crystal clear. Um, but that did not address the original walking issue. So now the cerebral palsy diagnosis is ruled out, syringomyelia diagnosis is ruled out. Now we're back to square one, dealing with what it is. It's mystery. As a
Yeah.
non-medical professionals, of course, it's a mystery to us, but for medical professionals also, it was a mystery. Although we were continuing the therapies, all kinds of therapies, in parallel with the medical diagnosis and treatments.
Yes, yes, in your pursuit of triumph. So there was the time though. I think that you kind of what I could tell from your book was a resolve, almost maybe a forced resolve, but there was a time when you just had to accept, and you went ahead and got your son a wheelchair. So talk
Correct.
about that and the time when you went into Easter Seals and in that, because that was a really poignant part I thought in your book.
Yes. Lori, thank you. This is really an important question. And personally, I connect with this question a lot because I don't know if it is cultural. I don't know if it is my personality. I don't know if it is the environment that I grew up. But being, born and brought up in India, I have never seen a child in a wheelchair. Call it non-awareness, call it lack of infrastructure, or the number of the cases, whatever it may be, cerebral palsies or anything that can affect the physicalities
Mm-hmm.
that will put a child or a adult in a wheelchair was never a sight for me. So when that happened to my child, I couldn't take it.
Yeah.
I couldn't react in as a normal human. It's not a small problem. You buy a house and you got something to fix. It's not like that. It's a genuine human problem
Mm-hmm.
to my son, which I never ever faced in my life. So that's why I wrote in the first page of my book, because this came after many months of contemplation, many books that I read, and I got maturity. God creates individual variety to balance the ecosystem. If there is only happiness, the world would not know sorrow and place a value on life.
Yes.
Sometimes happiness is momentary, sometimes it is extended.
Yes.
Likewise, sorrow. I realized this at a very late, or maybe it's early for me, and that is why I wanted to spread this message, because I don't want others to feel sorrow. If I
Yes.
took these many years to realize that fact, I wanted to give this book to people to realize this in the early stages of their problem. So the Easter seals was a trigger point to us in terms of pain, in terms of agony. My child is affected. He may be in the wheelchair for the rest of the life. And he may not be able to do a few of the things. But when I stepped in Easter Seals, my heart melted. My wife's heart melted.
Mm-hmm.
We have seen destitute. We have seen uh, real issues. I cannot even tell you. My heart totally melt down And we started at that very point. We started something called as join hands. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
our son is struggling, but what can we do to the society? People
Yes.
are unable to talk, children are unable to talk, children are unable to move, children are non-verbal. My
Mm-hmm.
heart went out to them, and
Yes.
that's when I gained strength. That's when I gained hope. That's when I thought, no, I am already a triumph. We are already a triumph. My wife and I are already a triumph. Maurya is already a
Yeah.
triumph. He's verbal. Yes, he's in a wheelchair, but we will make him better. We'll make him stronger. We'll make him smarter, and we will make him brighter.
Yes, yeah, and that just the way that you and your wife, your family have come at this with gusto, to help him. But the one of the things I want to point out, because we've been kind of talking just about his issues, but he's very smart. I mean, you
Yes.
learn to actually capitalize on the positives, and so he's not sad, right, at all. I mean, he's happy and bright. So you how did you go about making sure that you brought out his strengths?
So yeah, thank you. Again, this is also a very, very important question that makes me
Mm-hmm.
happy,
Mm-hmm.
because in reality, this is all my feelings, this is all my
Yeah.
emotions, this
Mm-hmm.
is all my agony. But if you see Maurya, always there is a smile, always there is an inquisitive nature, always there is a quest for knowing what it is. Why do things work this way? How can I make a Lego? When are you gifting me a new Lego architecture? When
Mm-hmm.
is Bears going to win? NFL. When is Bulls going to win? When are you taking me to a game? So these are the questions that made me realize. Okay, let me keep my emotions within me.
Mm.
Let us keep the emotions, the pain, the agony within ourselves. Yes, and I have used to have a conversations not in front of him, even though uh, we couldn't take it. I couldn't take it, especially
Yeah.
like I said, being an emotional guy. So I cried, privately. I cried when I was alone. I cried when, you know, like I said, when I was only myself.
Yeah.
But when I was with Maurya, I made sure, like you said, I wanted to tap on his potential. He's already a happy child. What can I do as a dad to make him more happier, to make him more stronger, to tap on his potential, like sports, like quiz games. You ask him anything about animals, plants, NFL, NBA, he's up to it. He knows it, most of the answers. If he doesn't, he wanted to know the answer. He researches it and knows the answer. He in the process, we also thought, okay, let's focus on his strengths. What can he do? He has fine motor skills. He's piano better. Let's enroll him. He started doing great. Just yesterday, as Christmas is here, he played Jingle Bells, Jingle Bells. For Halloween, he did, a Halloween song. I put it up
Mm-hmm.
on Facebook just to inspire other people, just to
Yes.
motivate other people, and also to make you realize that Maurya can do things. If he can do things, other people who are affected, more affected in whatever the physicality is, may draw some light, some strength, some hope in making their lives, their children better. So,
Yes.
to put it in a nutshell, yes, we tapped on his strengths. We always wanted to tap on his strengths. In fact, as I speak now, he is building the Harry Potter Lego. So he's a great Lego architecture fan, and he almost built all the cities: New York, Tokyo, London. And what can I do? What's the next thing? Okay, I found Harry Potter Lego. The castle is a great addition to his kit, to his creative kit, if you will.
Yes. How fun. How fun. So I love what you kind of said during all of that, which I think is a really good a point to against stress is you needed to figure out, or you came to the realization one day that you were projecting your emotions onto Maria, um, possibly, but they were yours, and so you figured out you needed to keep them to yourself. Um, if you were sad, that didn't necessarily mean he was.
Hmm.
And so that's when you kind of have to change perspectives and say, look, let's focus on what he can do, right? And make the best out
True.
of that and keep my kind of anguish separate from all of that. So it's not projected onto him, which is profound and a profound observation, and I'm sure very hard to do, especially because they're so little. I mean, you've got to help them
Absolutely.
and find
In and out,
answers.
day in, day out, every minute I have to sit with him.
Yeah.
As the physicalities, like I said, doing a Lego is one thing, but you still need to help him. He can't reach objects. If a piece falls down, you
Yeah.
still have to support him. With brush, like I said, every day, as he starts his day from brushing his teeth to all the way until he goes to the bed, you have to be with him at some point, of the stage. We can't leave him, but that's okay. I'm not complaining. I'm
Yes.
just stating the facts
Yes.
that this is life.
Yeah.
You have to accept it. Sooner or later, you have to accept it. Accept it in a happy way. Accept it in a good way. Make your priorities. If your child is a priority, if you want to see him or her as a success, you have to weigh in your options and fight for it. That is why I ended my book as "Keep the Fight On," because
Yes.
in the pursuit of the triumph, hope always triumphs. So if we keep that hope, uh, I'm not saying, if we keep the hope, tomorrow will be better. Day after tomorrow he will walk. But all what I can say is, if you can keep hope, tomorrow he will definitely become better. He may not be able to walk, but he will become better. I'm confident about that. Day after tomorrow, he may become even better than what he was yesterday.
Yes, yeah, and through this process too, you've had a lot of support, family help, and so speak a little bit about that, how that has impacted this whole journey, and maybe taken a little bit of the pressure, ease the pressure a little bit because you did have a support system.
True. Every person has a support system, I guess, and I was fortunate. I am fortunate that I have that. Starting from my wife, even though she's emotional, even though as a mom, usually they say, right, mother is mother, of course, is the beginning of this nature, and at least in initial stages, they're more connected with the child. But when this happened, when all of these emotions, when all of this turmoil is happening within me, and I was becoming emotional, she was steadfast.
Hmm.
She was, her nature is such that her emotions are within. She will not bring out those emotions outside, especially when I am in her purview, because she wants to, showcase the strength. She wanted to reflect that strength by her calm nature, by her support, and that really inspired me. I even asked her, Yash, how can you be, so calm? How can you be so composed? Then she said, "How can you say that? I am going through the emotional turmoil inside. That's my nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, a problem hit us, and we'll fight through it. You are there. You are already fighting through it. You're showing it. I am not showing it. That's all. I'm here for you, for my child, always, every time, anytime."
Mm-hmm.
And that itself was profound. And I knew, okay, this is my, I always knew that she was my support system. But when a calamity like this happens, and with her expression of these words, that made me realize how strongest the support system I have in the form of my wife. And we in 2013 we moved to Chicago from Boston,
Mm-hmm.
where my brother and sister-in-law lives close by. So we have them to our support as well. We have a niece, their daughter Moksha. She's just 8 months older than Moria. So she is very, very friendly, and she's very caring and
Mm-hmm.
understanding. in especially Maurya's abilities. What can he do? How can she accommodate
Yes.
the games? So all of that really helped um, in the storm that we swam.
Yes, yes, I love that. I love there's two things, and then we'll wrap up. But I love the fact that there was the cousin Moksha, because that gave him somewhat of a normalcy. He got to play with another person, his same
Correct.
size, and all of that.
Correct.
But the other thing that I loved what you said was Tosh, with Tosh, was that finally it was just made clear that you process this way and I process this way. We process different. They're not wrong. We're just different. So kind of be respectful and mindful of how your partner or how other people are going through their process of the same situation. And if it's different than yours, it doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just different.
True.
So I love that point. But we need to wrap up. I know there's so much in your book.
Yeah.
We'll
No
make sure
worries.
everybody goes and gets it. But what's the one last thing that you would like to leave people with from your book?
So yeah. As you rightly said, there is a lot, even though it's only 100 pages, there is a lot of content, I believe.
Yes, there is.
And I also believe that a book does not spring from, just because I wanted to uh, get my words out. It springs from uh, the passion for writing,
It's
the
evident.
passion,
Yeah.
yeah, the passion for you to tell your story to the people, not because you just wanted to tell your story, but to tell your story in the hope that they will find some hope, some strength, and some fight in dealing with their adversities, whatever those may be. It can be day-to-day adversities, it can be parental adversities, it can be whatever. So I wanted to tell my story and hope that it will, connect with somebody in other part of the world, which I already did, in fact. Since you go to Amazon, I have plenty of reviews, and personally, people reached out to emails, phone calls, messages, messengers, WhatsApp. That I'm
Yeah.
already, my idea, my motivation, my intention of this writing the book is already fulfilled. But the only hope is the book will reach out to a larger audience and provide that hope. One last thing that I wanted to tell you is children are precious. We may plan, everything will go smooth in life, especially with children. It may, God forbid, for some, it may not. But when it happens, please be prepared. Please tap on the potential. Please tap on the strengths that they can focus, like we
Yes.
focused on Moria's piano, his wheelchair basketball, his Legos, his games, NFL, NBA games, his socializing skills. He is so friendly. We have a small close knit circle here, apart from our niece, which who are very very accommodative, who are very very understanding. Find that group, find that space, and give that path, give that success, and accommodations needed for your child in making him a much bigger success story than what he or she is today.
Yes, yes, well said. Thank you so much. And I could feel your passion. Your book is well written. It's got so many details. It really lays out your pursuit, which I think is
That's right.
going to inspire and encourage and motivate a lot of people that have found themselves in a similar situation. So I, for one, appreciate you writing it. I'm sorry we didn't get to more because there's the whole part about Vamsi and his
No
pursuit.
worries.
So hold it, hold.
Like you said,
Yeah.
we have to have people to read something. We can't give out everything here.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yep.
So please go. If you can hold your book up again,
Sure.
go find The Pursuit of Triumph on Amazon in all the ways, Kindle, paperback, Audible. So there's something there for everybody. And thank you for listening today. Appreciate that. And Vamsi, stick around, but aloha to everybody. And we will see you next time.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you again.